So you've worked for 30 to 40 years and you've now gotten to a point where you're either close to retirement or in retirement. You have a pension, you have $1 million or more saved, and you have done everything you need to get to this point. And now you're probably asking yourself, do I need help? Should I work with a professional team? Or is this team that I'm working with now able to help me with more of the advanced planning that I need for more of this unique situation that I'm in? And so if that is you and you're in that category of one of those two, wanting to make sure you're not missing anything, one of the things that people come to us and say is, I don't know what I don't know. And so my hope in today's video is to help give more clarity and confidence as you go through that decision-making process to decide what team you want to trust moving forward. And I'm going to do so by going through our frequently asked questions actually on our website and give more context into all of the most important questions we feel like people should be asking their advisors that they're looking to work with. But also, we have seen thousands of people who have come through our process, and we're going to simplify and show you what are the main questions that people ask. And again, what we feel is most important for people to know to feel comfortable with that decision that they're making with a team that they trust. And this should help vet you out and get a very clear picture, almost like a checklist to know, is this team for real or is this team just smoke and mirrors? And so that's our hope on today's episode of Joe Knows Retirement.
Joe knows pensions.
Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows Midwestern Millionaires.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
My name is Joe Schmitz. I'm the CEO and founder of Peak Retirement Planning. We are actually based in Columbus, Ohio, but we serve clients all across the country. And so we love this YouTube channel because we specifically talk to the niche of people that we serve, that 2% club. Only 2% of the population has that pension, $1 million plus saved, and that's who we serve. And also those Midwestern millionaires. They don't have to be from the Midwest. They're all across the country. We have clients in the West that call themselves the Western millionaires, some in Florida who call themselves the middle class millionaires. It's just all about having those values of hard working, frugal, and being that diligent saver up to this point. And a lot of people we see on this channel don't like taxes, so I hope that's the case as well. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through just some of the questions you need to be considering as you look for an advisor team. And the first question on our website and on our frequently asked questions page is, how do you serve clients? And this is just a good one to get a grasp of. It's pretty simple, but there is some differences in how advisors do this. One of the big things that we see is that some advisors only do one out of the 5 pillars that we always talk about. They just simply do investment management, and that's it. They don't do tax prep internally. They don't help with tax planning throughout the year. They don't help facilitate estate planning documents. They don't help with Medicare when that time comes. They don't help with income planning. They really just manage investments. And oftentimes we see, which we'll get into the fee conversation today, but what we see is those teams could charge 1% or even more just for one of those pillars. And so if that's the case, if you are working with a team like that, that's pretty much a red flag right from the beginning that you're probably not working with a team that can best steward your wealth up to this point. It's kind of like going to a steakhouse and getting chicken and knowing that that chicken could cost the same as a steak. You probably don't want to do that, considering that you may never go to that steakhouse again. You may not, be able to go to that steakhouse every year. And same with your retirement. You don't want to make a mistake. This is your one-time retirement. You don't want to go back to work. And so very easy analogy to understand the importance of this. And so even to take that a step further, as far as a litmus test for you, is to make sure they have all professionals all in one place. Make sure that they are prepping your taxes in the same place that the certified financial planners are working out of as well. And make sure that's that full team approach. Make sure they're facilitating estate planning documents. They're helping with Medicare. Make sure you don't have to go to multiple different professionals to get the job done. Before we had this one-stop shop approach, back when it was just me and my mom here at Peak Retirement Planning and my mentor who has been in the industry for 40 years, we didn't have this whole comprehensive approach. And so oftentimes I felt like our clients were getting misserved because I would try to call the CPA and the CPA wouldn't get back to us, or the attorney would overcharge them and then they would give them these documents and not help them put it in place. And so, or getting the documents done in a way that, hey, we didn't feel like they fully understood the situation because they didn't know everything that was going on. And so that's why we decided to, hey, let's do this in-house. Let's make sure nothing's missed. Let's make sure all the professionals collaborate together and work together. The next important question that you need to ask is, who do they serve? What is the specific niche that they serve? Now, if it's a firm that's just doing everything for anybody, They may be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so we would always recommend working with a team who has a niche focus so that you can best get served. For example, our niche, as you know, is those who have $1 million or more saved. Majority of our clients have pensions. We know the specific planning that has to be done for those with high incomes and high net worth. It's typically more advanced concepts. And so we get a lot of people that come to us that have advisors that aren't doing that level of planning. They're likely serving those that have under $1 million, more of that typical person who doesn't have a pension. The strategies that person needs is much different than what we deal with. And so we serve thousands of clients, and so we help them with more specific planning. And so that's why it's so important to work with a niche. We don't personally serve business owners who are in their 30s. That's just not necessarily a niche that we have because that requires such a different level of expertise in planning and process. We've decided to dial in. We've gotten so much high demand at this point. We have so many people reaching out. We have about 30 to 35 people reach out every single week at this point. We actually had over 90 1 week before, and then we had to really tone things in of like, all right, who do we really want to serve? And that's why we really form this niche. That's why we really go all into who we serve here and why we only do content for this crowd. It allows us to do our best work and allows us to serve clients in the best way possible. We can't serve every single person that reaches out to us. We only are bringing on about 10 clients right now when I'm doing this video. And so that's what we have to be very selective about, ensuring we bring people that can fit our process really well. So they're going to get the best advice, but also allow us to not have to try to reinvent the wheel on serving people. We simply don't have cookie cutter approaches by any sense. Everything we do is very tailored. But when you see someone with similar pensions, with similar incomes, with similar investments, you're going to be able to see the same type of strategies pop up, and you're going to know what to do, is the way that we see that. So regardless of your situation, is highly recommend you work with a team that has that specialty. And even more than that, make sure that they have the bulk of their clients in that specific niche, because they may say that they do that, but they may not actually do it for you. The next question you want to ask is, are they a fiduciary? And this is a simple one. You can weed out a lot of people. If you've already vetted them out at this point, this should most likely be a yes at this point, would be my guess, because I would assure you you're going to a firm that's registered with the SEC. Only the top firms are registered with the SEC. If you have a certain amount of assets, you have to do the SEC. If you're under that, you register with the state. So, that's going to allow you to work with a team that has, more clients, is more established, is what we typically see. And so they're going to be more destined to understand your situation. Also understand that the highest degree of fiduciary duty, in my opinion, is that certified financial planner credential. This is one we always recommend. I always say, if I was not in the industry, I recommend that my parents work with a certified financial planner that is going to allow them to know everything about retirement planning, tax planning, estate planning. You have to pass a test on that through the certified financial planner credential, and you're required to have a certain amount of experience to even hold that credential. And so this is a credential we make all of our advisors get, or be in the process of getting that, to ensure that they can give the best advice to our clients. And we are very selective about who we hire to ensure we can have the best team so that our service doesn't water down, of course. So really important to ensure you have a team that has those certified financial planners that takes this very serious. We've seen times where advisors may have 20 years of experience. They may not have that credential. They may not do advanced planning, just investments and insurance. And often what I say is they may have 20 years of experience, but they really only have 1 year of experience 20 times, is what we often say. So make sure you work with a team that actually has more of that knowledge and expertise, more innovative, on the cutting edge. That's a lot of the times why people like working with a team like ours, knowing that we're going to be around for them, we're going to be on top of the technology to make things efficient so they can truly get the best outcomes and best results. The next question on our frequently asked questions page is, do you serve clients outside of Ohio? This is a question we get often. And so I'm going to reframe this question to ask is, are you comfortable with a virtual relationship or in person? So that can be a really good one for you to weed out specific firms. Like, for example, if someone comes to us and says, I can't do this virtual, I have to have someone in person, we are not the right fit. We're not going to fly out and see you unless you want to fly out and see us. We actually have clients that come see us all the time, even though they're out of state, and most of our clients are outside of Ohio. But we want to make sure this is a good fit in what people are looking for. Nowadays, most people are okay with a virtual relationship, is what we personally see, but that is certainly going to be your personal preference there. And you can find bigger firms that have offices all across the country if that's really what you're looking for. Just be very careful to ensure that those bigger firms aren't watering down their service. We see that a lot of times where, these big brands, these big names have focused more on maybe, growth than they have on actually serving their clients well. And we have a saying here, we always say we want to be the best and not the biggest. It's to ensure we don't water down our service and maintain that boutique family feel. I mean, my mom works here. I got my buddy from 4th grade. I've got 5 friends from college. We got a lot of other team members that are family and friends that work here as well. And so we always want to give our clients that feel. And that's why we've been really selective of not bringing on every single person that reaches out, because even though that would be great from a profitability standpoint, you're going to lead to clients being upset. You're going to lead to giving poor service. And if someone's going to trust us with their life savings, we want to be very, very aware of that. So that's my take on that whole virtual versus in-person perspective, but that is for you to decide what's most important for you. The next question is, what are your fees, right? This is one of the big questions that many people ask. And one thing I always say with this is fees are only an issue in the absence of value. Working with a professional investment manager, even if they only do investments, Vanguard did a study on this and they said that you'll do 1% to 3% better than DIYing it, just working with a professional team. So basically what that says is that even if you work with an advisor and you're paying 1% just to get investment management, you're still technically probably going to come out ahead if that's the case. Now, our take on it is, yes, that's great, and professional investment management is well worth it. Using data, following market trends, being able to be on top of that and making strategic decisions and not just throwing darts and hoping to invest in this fund or that fund, likely going to really help you get better results as time goes. Now, the other side of it is all the other 4 pillars that we've talked about. Typically what we see with our clients is that's never a concern. We have a 99+% retention rate because clients who sign up, they see the value over time. And we always tell them, hey, if you never see value from us, and this would be the case as you work with a team, if you're not seeing the value, you shouldn't be paying them a fee to do that. And so that's why we always tell people, hey, if it ever doesn't work out, that's why we allow clients to terminate with us at any time. We would never hold them back. If they feel like they can do better on their own or somewhere else, we would never allow them to be held back there. And so our fee structure, which is on our website, is pretty simple. It's pretty cut and dry. Most of our clients have that 1 to 10 million, saved. And so for that 1 to 5 million, it's a 1% amount. For those that have 5 to 10 million, it's a flat 0.75%. So we have a very simple fee model. And then for those at 10 million or more, depending on their situation, complexity, and how that looks, that's typically starts at 0.6%, but could be less depending on that situation. I feel like, when I look out there in the industry and I compare fees, our fees are relatively the average or a little lesser than the average. I will always tell people that if you have $1 million or more, you should be paying a 1% fee. You should watch having to pay more than that. But oftentimes you can get great service as 5-pillar planning for this fee. I know there's some other bigger firms out there that charge more. I know one charges specifically 1.25 and only does investment management. So you want to watch out for those types of firms because you could end up overpaying very quickly. But you also don't want to worry. You want to worry about paying too little in fees to where you're not getting enough value to cover. And so I know there's some other services out there that may be lesser in fees, but again, they may be only doing 1 out of the 5 pillars. So if all you're looking for is investment management, you can typically get that for about half of the cost of what we're talking about here today, if that is your only goal. But if you're looking for comprehensive planning, that 1% is pretty benchmark on the industry to look for. And so that should give you some confidence to make sure you're making the right decision as far as the fee concept goes. We also don't charge any planning fees or any upfront fees. So some firms will do that as well. So just, other questions to ask to ensure. We also don't use mutual funds, which could add added cost to clients. Some firms like to use mutual funds, which they can get paid more on and on top of the management fee. So just be aware of that. We typically like to use stocks, index funds, ETFs, things that are low cost to ensure that we can drive that total cost the client pays down because we don't get paid more to offer one investment vehicle versus the other. If we want to do a mutual fund versus a Vanguard VTO, well, we're not going to get paid more to do one versus the other, even though this mutual fund may charge our clients an additional 0.5% and this Vanguard fund is 0.03%. We're going to be able to decide what we feel is best for the client based on their situation. And another part of this fee conversation is understanding a firm's minimums. So like for right now, our minimum is $1 million. So we are not able to just serve everyone, as I've talked about. We've had to get very selective about the clients we bring on. We are open to working with people under $1 million if there's a lot of value we can offer. If we feel like they'd be a great fit clients, we feel like they'd be fun and easy to work with and not to be difficult, of course. So there is opportunities for those that have $500,000 to $1 million where we could see opportunities for them to really add value and make it a great relationship. But most of our focus is on those who have 1 to 10 million. And so that's another way you could easily vet yourself on certain firms. Certain firms have, maybe more of that $1 million minimum we have is typically the higher end of it, or they may have lower minimums or maybe no minimums. And so if you have $1 million or more, I would be wary if someone doesn't have a minimum. So it's almost a good question to vet of who they serve. But if their minimum's, $100,000, just understand you may be one of their biggest clients if you have $3 million. So part of that may be good for some, but in my mind, I'm thinking that they may not understand that level of planning would be the concern of it. So again, it's just all about finding that person you trust is what's most important, but ensuring that you're also just paying a fair amount in fees. And so the industry is very well regulated, so there is still some hidden costs here and there to be aware of. We've removed all of that in our process, but just a good question to ask. So hopefully that was helpful to help give you a better understanding of what to look for from a fee conversation. The next question is do you manage my investments? And so any advisor you work with typically will manage your investments. You could find a firm who does not. It doesn't really exist much out there. I haven't found too many firms. I actually haven't found any firms that do only fee-based planning where they charge a one-time fee and do it really well. Oftentimes, if you are looking for that planning, it's going to be pretty costly. Typically, if you have $1 million or more, they're likely going to probably cost you $10,000 is what we would typically see. But most firms are at high demand, so they'd rather have ongoing relationships than just a one-time plan. Now, you may be able to find an inexperienced advisor who could do that for you. You may not get the best product, but if you're only looking to pay a one-time fee, that could be an opportunity to see if you could do that well. So we manage our clients' investments. Most advisors do, and that's what we would suggest you do too. We've already talked about the Vanguard study, adding 1 to 3% alpha there by working with a professional team, but most clients come to us, they don't want to worry about this anymore. They want to be hands-off, they want to trust a team, and they want to enjoy their retirement. So highly suggest you do that. I also suggest that you go all in with one team instead of trying to have multiple different teams work with you. You're just going to have things not work together. You're going to have different strategies that aren't going to be the best, especially from a tax planning. It gets really complex. And then the way we look at the investments, we always sit on the same side of the table as a client. We never force clients to do any specific investments or products by any means. We always want to make sure it feels good and allow them to have the final say to ensure they feel comfortable with that. But we do all the research, the recommendations, and all the work in ensuring that things are decided on as time goes, especially if we need to make changes to the investments. That's something that we're going to be able to make changes on in a timely way instead of having to wait for the client get back to us or to call us or the client tell us what to do. Those things we're all proactively doing as those opportunities happen. Another question that many people ask is, where is my money held? And so it's a really important question for those to understand that your money is held at a third-party custodian. It's not in that advisor's bank account. It's not in the firm's bank account. It's held at a reputable third party is what typically is the case. So the 4 biggest custodians out there for independent advisors are Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Altruist, and Pershing. So the chances are if you work with an independent advisor, now you could work with a big firm at, a wirehouse or a bank, and they may have their own custodian there. We would recommend you work with an independent advisor is what we typically see. That's typically when they're going to be fully fiduciary. They're going to be able to do more of the type of planning that we talk about on this channel. And so those advisors would use one of those 4 custodians. All 4 of them are very similar. They all have the same type of security requirements. They all have platforms that you can see your investments, see your returns, see the performance, that you can log into, that you can hook up your bank account to. So all very similar platforms that you can have access to your money to ensure that it is protected and not in anyone's bank account. A big question to ask is, on our frequently asked questions is, once I commit to working with Peak, am I locked in? And so understand with any advisor out there, you are not locked in. This is your money. Even having it at a third-party custodian, it's in your name, not the firm's name. So you can do whatever you wish at any time. And so we always want to make sure people are clear in asking their advisor that to see if there's any, hey, do I have to give you a certain amount of time to leave? Is there any cost to leave? Most of the time there is not, but it's always worthwhile to check if that's something that you're considering up front that, hey, you don't know if this may be a good fit. You want to test it out. We had a guy come to us 6 months in. He said, Joe, I finally fully trust the team. And I'm like, what do you mean? I thought you trusted us up front. You moved your life savings. He goes, yes, I trusted you, but I needed to ensure everything worked well. The communication was good. The planning was good. And to make sure you guys did everything that I would have done and more. And he said, you delivered on that. So I'm good to go moving forward. And so for some people, it may take 6 months. Others, it may take a year to figure out, is that a good fit? Am I really wanting to do this moving forward? And so it's a good opportunity for you to see and test out a relationship to make sure you can truly get what you're looking for moving forward. The next question we have on our page is, well, who will be my advisor? And this is a big one that we really want people to ask other teams is, hey, do they take a team approach or do I only have one person? We are fully against only having one advisor in every meeting. So that's why we always have 2 advisors in each meeting. We take a full team approach. So a lot of our clients get to meet several different team members as we go. We've got different specialists in tax preparation as an example. We don't expect our advisors to do tax preparation because again, jacks of all trades is master of none. And so we really like to have our team specialize in what they do best. Like, for example, for our advisors, all they do is advise clients and build advanced plans. We take everything else off their plate. They don't have to do marketing. They don't have to do sales. They don't have to do paperwork. They don't have to do, watch all the transfers of all the accounts. They get to do what they do best. And that's where I feel like clients can really get the most value, is working with a team where they're actually built out to serve them rather than just one person. Now, I used to be just me at Peak. It was just me and my mom, right? At that point, I thought I served people really well, but what I realized is that even though I cared a lot for them and I went the extra mile for them, there's just certain areas I didn't have mastered. I didn't do tax preparation. I didn't help facilitate estate planning, Medicare, all the one-stop shop didn't exist. And I felt like clients were getting underserved. And that's why I decided to go the route of building Peak Retirement out to be more of that one-stop shop, more of that comprehensive family office feel to it, so that clients could get all the services all in one place. And I also don't like the idea that early on, people would ask me, hey, Joe, if something happens to you, what do I do? Who do I go to? And I'm like, you're right. There's no team in place to ensure you're continued on. And so a lot of clients like that idea that, hey, if an advisor's out for a month on vacation, you're going to ensure you get a team to answer that question within 24 hours. We have a specific email address our clients can go to at any time to get a very quick response from whoever on our team can best address it. So I just feel like you'll miss less working with a team, is my personal opinion on that matter. Another question that we ask is, can I get references? You could ask this to other firms. They may be willing to do it. We feel like it's not necessarily valuable. Plus we have, for anyone looking for references with us, we just don't have the capacity to give out references because we don't want to bug our clients, just to be frank, and also everything's confidential. So some firms may be willing to do that. We've decided not to, but what we've done in turn of that is we've actually created a testimonial video of some of our clients that people can access on our website to learn more about their experience and their stories. But also we have Google reviews where we have 300 or more Google reviews from our clients that they've all left us just telling them about their experience. And some of them are very detailed of just, the timeliness of how we serve clients, what it's been like to be a client. And so some of those really make me excited, because that's why we do this, is to serve people really well. And then another really important question, the last question we have is, have you ever been disciplined? And I think this is a great question to ask advisors, because if they've been disciplined before, that could be definitely a red flag to make sure you're aware of and really dig into that. Was that actually a big mistake, or was maybe this a mistake that wasn't as big of a deal? And that's something when we hire advisors, we feel it's really important to hire people with clean records that are doing the right thing for people, of course. And so you can even see that online to see the disciplinary issues of certain advisors. And if you ask them straight up, they're going to have to tell you the truth there, of course. And so that's a really good question to ask. So hopefully this was a good overview as you look for a team, or if you already have a team, of what to do from there. And if you've been watching to the end here and you like the type of planning we do, maybe you've watched some videos and this was helpful information for you here today, feel free to schedule time with us. We have 15-minute calls that we do with those who are a good fit. You are required to fill out a questionnaire before so we can see if this would be a good fit and see if you meet the criteria of people we work with, as mentioned here today. But if so, schedule time. And that's where this channel is where we get a lot of our clients from at this point. So don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to explore further. And even if we can't personally help you, we'll make sure you're guided in the right direction. We always want to make sure that we're putting people in the best situation possible, which is why we created this channel. So go ahead and scan that QR code, click on that link above, and we'll make sure that you get that time scheduled with our team to talk further from here. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gave you some more insight and education as you make an informed decision moving forward. And we will see you on the next episode here of Joe Knows Retirement.